Hey guys, I thought I'd do an update on something that I did, and what that was to remove this original moisture trap that I had back here, or it was a water oil separator. I figured out it wasn't doing its purpose because air actually has to come in from the bottom of this and get diffused within this cylinder, or it doesn't work. And what I was doing was providing a vacuum from the top. So I never saw this moisture in this cylinder when it was back here. So that means it wasn't doing its intended purpose. Took me a little bit of thinking about it, and I really didn't want to do it, and I said I'll just leave it back there. But it started bugging me, and I said I need to move that. And what I need to do is move it from the output of this pump. The air needs to come through the bottom, and that's for two reasons. It's because I don't know how much oil is in this pump once it's lost, if any's migrating out. And these pumps, like I say, weren't intended for compressor purposes, so they do want to migrate a small amount of oil. It's actually a mist, a very, very fine mist. So at least I can keep track of the water and oil that's in here, so I know how much to put back in here, because I don't have a sight glass in here, and obviously I'm gonna have to guess on what's missing, and you can end up over servicing it. I don't know how long it's going to take for oil to migrate out of it, but eventually at some point it probably will, just like any compressor, and that's why you got to put oil in them. So like I said previously, don't throw anything away. When you're pulling things apart and you think it's just trash, case in point, I ended up needing this manifold that was originally mounted up here to complete this project. And the problem is that they don't make 1/4 pipe thread to quarter compression fitting. And it would have to be a female on this side. So I was in a dilemma for a little bit, and I'm like, there has to be a way, and I thought about it, and I'm like, why don't I try using that block? And it worked out perfect. I ended up plugging, there's 3 1/4-inch pipe thread and 1/8 pipe thread, 1/8 pipe thread port. So I ended up plugging 2 1/4 pipe thread plugs. I used the one on the top and then the 1/8 to quarter compression, and that's the only way I could do that. That's the only way. I couldn't find a fitting anywhere, street elbow, nothing that went from quarter to quarter compression fitting. I did end up having to buy a couple of other fittings, no big deal. But now this is coming straight out of the pump into the bottom of this like it's intended. The air does this little figure 8 pattern, hits the diffuser plate, then comes back this way and up and out this way, back down through the check valve. And this is proof that it's working. It wasn't doing that when it was back here. So all I did was take this filter off here that was originally I had down here, and it was already threaded and everything, and just screwed it on there. So there's no change in decibels, sound, or whatsoever. I think it may be even a little bit quieter, because now you can really hear this air coming through here. This does have a little bit of a resonance, and like I said in the final video, there's really nothing you can do about it, because that check valve is going to make a slight amount of noise. But now I think I'm hearing the compressor motor as it's getting up to a higher pressure more than I'm hearing anything on here. So when you're threading these in here, especially these caps, I have to warn you that don't try to put them flush because they can only go in so far. So I ended up using Teflon tape and Teflon sealant to seal these because they were leaking last night when I finished this. At least this one was, so I figured the other one quite possibly could be, and I didn't want to have to take this apart again. It's not that difficult now. It's way easier. I don't have to take the pump off now in order to remove any of this plumbing. As you can see, the different fittings in here. So if I really want to pull this pump off, all I have to do is loosen that fitting, or not the pump, but any of this equipment in here, like this trap if I have to clean it. Loosen that fitting. I take this one off and that one off, and this whole assembly slides right off. It actually made everything a little bit easier to access. And if I needed to take the pump off, all I need to do is break that fitting right there and slide the pump forward. So this is refrigeration copper, so it is a little bit soft. You want to put stainless in there or something like that, but you are going to have to make some bent angles coming through here to get the curvature of this, so that you're not touching the side of this. And I didn't want to bring it too far over the side, so that, you know, I wanted to kind of keep a, you know, clean line this way. So that's how I accomplish that. The easiest way that I found, that I'll tell you, to cut this copper tubing to length is, copper's expensive. And if you don't have that much of it, or, you know, you just have just enough to get your project done, what I use is just regular drip irrigation plastic line. And I measure the lines out with that. Then what I'll do from there is then I'll cut the copper, just mark it, put it up against the pipe and mark it. I think my flash turned off on me, so hoping I don't have to redo this. I'm hoping you guys can see this and it won't be grainy, but I don't know how to turn it back on right now, so we'll go ahead and finish this up. So I just mock up all the lines with that plastic line, and then I cut the copper one piece at a time. Then I can get the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, and that way I'm not wasting material. If you cut it too short, you're kind of out of luck. So everybody knows that it's better to be a little bit over length. And then if you have to, if you can file it, or if you have a, you know, small disc sander or something like that, then go ahead and use that. So that's how I figure these lines out. It's the easiest way for me. I have no way of measuring that. And another thing you're going to want to do is swedge these fittings in here before you try to twist them on here, because this copper will bend. So I just put them in a vise once I get them to length, and just use one fitting that I know I'm going to use and swedge them on. So we'll turn this on for the final time. There you hear it. Again, like I said, very quiet. You hear a little buzz in there. I think that's the motor running now. It's hard for me to tell anymore. And you hear that air going in here more than anything. So that's an update. If you build something like this, I recommend you put a moisture trap in here, slash oil. When these start getting warm, you really pick up a lot of moisture in here. A lot of moisture, so it's going to end up in the tank. I notice when I drain the tank now, there's virtually nothing in there. If there is anything in there, I think this will pick up the rest of it. on this regulator. So I should virtually have no water whatsoever coming through here. And now at least I can keep track of the oil. So questions, comments, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.